Alright, boom. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. And I found an interesting video. What if Diavolo got the arrow and become King Crimson Requiem? Now, I thought about this, and it's kind of just like, what if he actually did? Would there still be a golden experience Requiem? Like, would it have been one of them ones we would have been able to kill the gang quick and easy, or would golden experience still become Requiem? Like, that is very interesting to me. So obviously I'm sure you lot might have seen this video, but I'll leave the link in the description of the video down below, and the person that done it, I actually don't know their name, but this is a very interesting video, and I was gonna watch this anyways. I thought, why not record it and see and get you lot's thoughts on it as well, so you lot can join me in the speculations and see what's going on. All right, anyway, let's go.
Arrow, a great fight. There's contrasting ideals, allegories out the wazoo. Who is the one deserving of the arrow? It's amazing, but
yeah, great fight, honestly.
What if Jojo wasn't the one that was deserving of the arrow?
Exactly.
What if in an alternate world where the arrow just didn't work the way it expected to, and it instead gravitated towards Diavolo?
Yeah,
he was the one to get it instead. Also, for those that have been subscribed for a long time, you might have seen this premise a while back when I was first getting into making JoJo content on this whole series.
I haven't seen that still.
You understand more about anything the more time you invest something into it, and I think my understanding of functions and narrative are massively different from then and now.
Okay.
The video itself back then is, I'd say, highly inaccurate as to what would happen, so I'm hoping
you wanted to do a follow-up video on it. Okay, all right.
At this time. So let's get into this, starting with the scenario and setting and all of that. So the scenario itself can be too profound, I would think. The story of Golden Wind is structured to where the only thing that would truly make sense is Jojo being the one to get the arrow, even with the parallel journeys in mind. But let's say that this is a scene where it supports the whole Doppio always being there for Diavolo dynamic.
Okay.
Let's say that Mista only shot to keep Bruno down because he worried too much about his body, or he just missed because he's shaky with the idea of shooting Bruno. Now this would be good because since it benefits Doppio, the whole thought of it would be like, oh man, this only happened because Mista's resolve was shaken back then.
Okay.
And it would make sense as to why his resolve be shaken in that specific instance, because it's like, on one hand, I do really trust Bruno, so I should be listening to him and just go ahead and
yeah, that makes sense.
and just not care about it because I'm following with Bruno's orders.
Yeah.
It's like, on the other hand, I'm shooting Bruno, so it's like, what if he doesn't come back to his body? What if I ruin the chance for that now? Like, there's a lot for Mista to think about.
The amount of respect you have for Bruno is, yeah, I get that.
So now that's something on the plate. Now everything that happens in the story happens the way that it does, and we get all the way down to Jojo finally having the arrow in his hands. While he's holding the arrow up and looking at Diavolo, someone is rushing towards Jojo with their last seconds left in a body. Mista and Trish see it, and to them it's Bruno, and it should make sense because everyone is going back to their body, but we know who it actually is.
Doppio.
It's Doppio about to fade out of his body, but before doing so, he tackles Jojo like a football player, and
then knocks the arrow back to Requiem, to King Crimson.
Everyone is losing it, and Jojo is trying to explain that that's not Bruno as fast as he can, as everyone can see what's going on.
Yeah.
The arrow is in Diavolo's hands now, and before Doppio dies, he asked Diavolo in his dying breath if he did a good job.
Oh, that would have been
laughing in a hysterical tone, screaming, "Yes!"
That would have been emotional. I'm not gonna lie, that would be fucking emotional.
With despair, but fate has chosen you to help me achieve my everlasting
yeah. I could see that as well.
Jojo and Trish are yelling up and dashing up with their stands. Mista is in the back shooting.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Diavolo activates the time erasing ability that he has.
Yeah.
Uses that same line of dialogue as before. And then
stabs
jams
himself.
the arrow right into the chest of King Crimson.
Yeah.
Time goes back to normal, and everyone has missed their attacks. And Diavolo has disappeared from where he once was. Everyone is looking around. The feeling is like the calm before the storm.
Okay.
And then you hear the time erasing effect happen. The screen does that little glitch effect, and then there he is.
King
Diavolo,
Crimson
KCR, floating in the air above everyone, like how Giorno
was doing it. Yeah.
Diavolo most likely says something to thank either Doppio or the combination of Fate and Doppio, and it would probably sound like how he's talking to him during the Metallica fight.
Yeah.
You made it possible for me to reach.
No, I could see that. That wouldn't even be out of
about how the arrow has accepted Diavolo.
Yeah.
And after it, both Trish and Giorno charge in with Mista still on the ground shooting.
Yeah.
And now we get KCR's new abilities. So
what would his new abilities be though? Like,
now the
what
first thing is Absolute Epitaph. King Crimson's Epitaph ability lets him see up to 10 seconds into the future.
Right.
Since the original poetry of the ability was that he was able to look into the future so he can control it, since he can't control the present, I wanted to have something that would end up giving Diavolo exactly what he wanted, but make it into an ironic poetry type of thing while also connecting it into some things that already exist in Jojo.
So what have you come up with then?
Epitaph has now merged with the entire body of King Crimson Requiem. As to what it does, it now views time in the same way that you look at a video in a video editor. And with it being absolute, how far he can see all depends on how far he wants to see.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to see the next 20 seconds,
he could see. That would be OP.
Days,
what?
20 months, 20 years, the end of time, the beginning of the next time, etc. Though while this ability seems great in a fighting aspect, it's a terrible ability to bear, or at least that's how I feel.
Do you mean mentally?
Absolute Epitaph itself does not have to be activated for it to work. It's a passive ability to
I see.
now. And only when Diavolo wants to see it is when he would see it, like how he does normally before.
With the 10 seconds,
Basically, it works like this. KCR sees time as like a video in a video editor, right? This is always active. So basically, it's like you tabbed out of your video editor, but when Diavolo specifically wants to see something, instead of just leaving it up to KCR, he can reopen the program to see what's up.
Okay.
KCR will act for him regardless. Diavolo can just choose to see
when he wants to see and how long he wants to see it. Yeah.
Now that we established Absolute Epitaph, there's what he can do with it, and there's the other two abilities he has left. Since KCR views time the way that it does now, fighting people is a lot different. Instead of activating time erase and destroying people in the ability by using KC's immense strength, KCR now has the ability to erase his problems out of existence. You can use Hakai as a reference as to how he can erase people, but how it works is
he can go back in time and just do their existence. So I'm going to
use our example of the story I had going. KCR sees time like a video editor.
Right.
And people are layers, in a sense. Inside of AE, the Absolute Epitaph, with the swipe of a hand, he erases Giorno out of existence.
Oh,
he doesn't really need any motion. If it's something he truly wants to happen, KCR will do it.
I get what you mean.
As an ability, but with how I'm having the story go, I promise we won't really be seeing any of it, unfortunately. The next ability is Identity Erasure. Okay. It works like how Rohan had Heaven's Door work against Koichi every time that he tried to tell Joestar.
Oh, okay. With the story, okay.
The danger that he's in as soon as he opens the door. The idea of telling them just disappeared as soon as he left. It's like that. Except here, it's more so that as soon as you pursue Diavolo or the idea of finding him out, it disappears out of your head. Along with that, if he was to tell you about who he is, you would forget it anyways. Yeah. Which sounds like an ability that Kira would love too. As an example, say that instead of fighting everyone at the final fight,
he just erased them.
Disappears.
Yeah.
And everyone forgets that they were pursuing.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
And let's say that Diavolo goes to a restaurant, eat, and they have to give him a bill.
Bless you, me.
He's like, I won't be paying this because Diavolo doesn't pay for anything. And then he walks away because if they try to pursue him to pay the bill, that thought disappears. And if they were thinking about who that man is that didn't pay, that thought would also disappears. He has the ability to basically be invisible in plain sight.
And that's basically what he wants, yeah.
We'll be able to see him sit there and order food and all that, but as soon as he's done with everything, they've forgotten everything about him.
Yeah, I get
it's
that.
It's like he wasn't even there. Now, as to why I gave him these abilities, it's a fusion of upgrading the original abilities, ironic poetry, and matching the desire and motivation of Diavolo.
I can't remember the Pokemon
Instead
name.
of giving examples here, I'll just be talking about what I'm doing with the story of it all. Now, let's go back to the activation of King Crimson Requiem. Diavolo and Casey are in the middle of Giorno, Trish, and Mista. Diavolo activates his time erasing ability, thinking that it works the same, so once he does that, he uses Epitaph and can see KCR taking out Giorno. Diavolo is extremely happy with the outcome, but wants to know what's so different about KCR that makes it the way that it is.
Yeah, I get that.
KCR asks Diavolo if he wants to see how far its abilities can be pushed. Diavolo believes that fate is already in place, so he can take care of everything now, but the idea that there can be more done interests him, so he let KCR show off the extent of its new abilities.
That makes sense.
Then KCR, with the swipe of its cape, takes Diavolo to a realm that visually looks similar to the effect that Time Erase has, but it's more so a bit more spacious, more likely looks a bit darker too. Maybe similar to the whole realm of what GR does. He sees the past week in a timeline like how we see videos in a video editor, like I keep on mentioning.
Yeah.
And that's a cool trick to Diavolo. But then KCR grabs the end of it all, which would be where they are now, and he throws it all the way to its right. Now time flies around them like what the Truth did to Edward Elric in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Haven't seen that.
Flying around.
Oh, when he gets
decades,
sucked into the truth. Yeah.
After, etc., etc. He's legit stamina broken at this point.
Right.
And KCR stops the whole just
stops it. Yeah.
Fluctuating thing going on. Diavolo sits back on the floor, trying to register what had just happened.
Because he must have...
In this time, no time has passed yet. In the normal world, it's still like...
Because he's still...
paused at that point.
Yeah.
Right now, Diavolo and KCR sit outside of time while this is all going on.
Yeah.
Diavolo tries to figure out what had just happened by asking questions, and KCR explained that it could explain all that happened, but they still have a situation at hand.
With Mr.
Diavolo, a good amount of time had just passed mentally, and he's taken a lot of information in. He sees the original situation with Giorno, Trish, and Mista, but with seeing all that time is, he doesn't see reason into going back into that.
I see.
Instead, he wants more time to reflect and ask more questions, but he still doesn't want to deal with those that want to pursue him for his original position.
So what does he do? His first ability,
the identity erasure ability comes into play.
Right.
KCR assures Diavolo no one will be able to reach him, and they disappear. There's a big flash. Time has gone back a bit. Giorno has the arrow in hand.
Does Giorno still stab himself?
And it looks like nothing has happened. Giorno pierces himself with the arrow.
Yes, this is what I wanted to see. Okay.
Diavolo here.
Right.
Or Giorno can just recognize the situation and not use the arrow. I'm down with giving a scenario for...
I still think he would still stab himself. He's got the arrow though.
GR looks to his newsstand and asks about Diavolo, and GR tells Giorno that he doesn't need to worry about him anymore because he won't be a threat to anyone anytime soon.
Okay.
At all. He doesn't fully grasp what had just happened, but understands that what GR is saying is completely true. The Giorno without GR taking the arrow and just going on to become the boss doesn't really sound like something that would happen. I feel like everyone would still be on edge until there's confirmation that Diavolo
that is very true. So yeah.
He does use the arrow anyways, which goes back to our main plan of the story. Now, Giorno goes on to become the boss and all of that, but what happened to Diavolo after that?
Yeah, what would he have done?
With the knowledge he has of time itself and his interest to understand more, him and KCR spend their days roaming the earth or standing outside of time while Diavolo tries to learn more and
that would be insane.
The life he lived before and the idea of just continuing on what he was doing originally seems so insignificant.
Yeah, I could imagine. What's the point?
At all, nor does he plan to do it. And as a cool little callback to when Diavolo and Doppio were one, Diavolo takes boats as a means of transportation when he wants to sit down and reflect.
That's cute.
Going back to when he said that he wanted to live his life as a sailor.
Yeah, I remember that.
In quotes, that. Now, Diavolo had became everything that he wanted to be and got all that he wanted. It just didn't come out the way
he wanted it to happen. Yeah, I get. Yeah. Because now he just
wanted to stand at the top alone And now with his understanding of the universe
Versus
and time
it's
itself,
pointless.
he does stand alone.
Yeah.
Or, well, not entirely alone, because there is KCR. He's no longer worried of his past or think it's something of his that needs to be destroyed, because he's gone so far from that mentality. The old Diavolo was cursed to live by dying infinitely, that being his hell. But this Diavolo's hell is having everything he's ever wanted and knowing it all. And that's the end of the scenario. Also, Diavolo being able to see all that is a wish of someone that we know. If, you know, just like hint, hint, you know, unless you're not caught up. Shout out to Part 6 people that understand.
Oh, I don't know.
Now,
I don't know what it
this
means.
is just my take on KCR woodwork and all that. And what would happen after. People can have their take on it and write up their own scenario as to what would happen after.
I would love to write my own scenario
on it. I'd love to see. You can send it to my Twitter.
Okay.
Also, if you want to draw up this video as a comic or something, you can send that to my Twitter. Also, I love seeing
that would be lit.
I really do wish I could have drawn out everything that I had conceptualized, but I don't really draw like that. But I want to give a huge thank you to Kuma and Monkey that have made this art for me for this video. It's very, very, very helpful. And
that is so lit.
You can follow both of them in the description. They're huge helps for this, because while I couldn't conceptualize everything that I had as an idea, I got a good amount of stuff. Like, this is a fair amount of stuff, and I really do love.
Yeah.
It's like having KCR. It's amazing. Also, this is the design itself is a shout out to the original.
Alright, I think he's just kind of giving shouts and that now. But do you know what the funny thing is? I get that, like, instead of Diavolo having an infinite loop of death, he's in a world by himself, which is exactly how he wanted. And the thing is, though, I don't know if Jono would just leave King Crimson Requiem by himself like that. Like, even if Golden Experience Requiem was like, yeah, cool. Obviously, I know it's his scenario, but I'm trying to think, like, what would the characters do? But obviously, like I said, I've only seen Golden Experience, Golden Wind once, so I can't really judge too much. I need to probably rewatch it a couple times and then pick up the characters' personalities a bit more and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that was good. Like, I did enjoy it, because I always thought to myself, what if Diablo actually, what if he did get the arrow? What if he did be able to stab himself? What if he did get Golden King Crimson Requiem? Like, what if, do you know what I'm saying? Like, would he have been too cocky and allowed to drop the arrow to Golden Experience and then him become Golden Experience Requiem? But anyway, let me know what your thoughts is down below. I thoroughly enjoyed this video. I think what he said was great. But I don't know, like, obviously I don't know, it's so much to process right now. Maybe I'll do like a follow-up video to this. But yeah, this was great. If you guys want to leave a like, subscribe to the comment on today. I'll catch you done in a bit. Jeez.